Hey, everybody. Today we sit down and talk with Eryn Cessna with Speak of the Dead. Hi, Eryn. How are you today?
Hi Sarah, how you doing? I'm doing pretty well.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep. How about
All
me?
right. So, where are you located?
So currently I'm in Syracuse, New York, so smack dab in the middle of New York State. But originally I was in Toledo, Ohio for the last 14 years um, with my team Division 3 AM.
Okay. How did you get started with the paranormal?
So I've always had an inkling knowing that I had a gift and just always interested in the darker side of life and knowing there was something more since I was a child. My grandmother owned a house that was built in the 1700s, and I used to see ghosts there. So I would say it started as a child, but when I officially became part of the paranormal community was about 7 years ago.
Okay.
About three other members and myself joined Division 3 AM. We formed it, and we're located out of Toledo, Ohio.
Okay. You said that you didn't know if it was something that you learned as a child. Um, what kind of experience did you have as a child?
So, as I mentioned, my grandmother owned a house that was built in the 1700s. And I do remember one particular night that I think was the flip of the switch for me. I remember laying in bed and waking up to see an older gentleman in the hallway um, in older clothes and a Dalmatian sitting next to him. And I remember looking over at him and I was like, this is not happening. And I pinched myself and it sure hurt. And I was like, I'm going back to bed. And the
You're
next
like, I'm just not having it.
yeah. And the next morning, I'm like, okay, was that real? And my grandmother knew that I was off and she's like, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. And I was like, yeah, I think I did. And I told her about it and she pulled out a picture and it was that exact same man with that exact same dog. And I'm like, okay,
Iconic moment.
yes. So, ever since that moment, I was always interested in the horror movies, and she would always tell me ghost stories because she loved that sort of thing. And um, she would take me to visit cemeteries, and I guess that's when it was getting embedded into who I am now.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So, you were able to talk to your grandmother. Did you feel like you were able to talk to your family in general as a child growing up with these gifts?
Yeah, I feel like it was definitely welcomed in my family. And I know in many cultures it's taboo sometimes to talk about, but in my family, it was definitely an open book. I come from Irish descent where we love the ghost stories, we love superstition. So it was just something that I feel like was passed down the line to me. And the fact that I kind of welcomed it and tapped into that gift, they were like, yes, she's in.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you know if anybody else has? Well, you were just saying that about your family. Do you know how many of them have the same gifts?
Well, definitely my grandmother. I feel like she was where it all came from. Um, her and my mother were very close too. They would have similar dreams. They would be able to tell when something bad was going to happen. Um, so definitely my grandmother and my mother, and then myself. My brother and sister, they're very skeptical. I feel like they do have a little bit of that gift, but I don't think they tap into it as much. So I feel like they're blocked a bit. My sister, she'll have dreams and she'll just shrug them off like it's just coincidental. But to me, I'm like, no, I find meaning behind everything. Um, so definitely my mother's side of the family. My dad's side of the family, they are still superstitious and I still think they believe in like ghosts and things like that, but they don't talk about it as much.
Yeah, sometimes it can be hard, um, especially if your family is divided in religion. I know with mine, it was hard. growing up because we didn't always talk about it. It was
Right.
it was it was one of those conversations you just did not have.
Right. Like I said, in some households, it is very taboo. And then you start talking about ghosts, and they're like, "You're crazy," and yeah, you got to be careful who you open
Yeah,
up to. Yeah.
exactly. And until this day, I still feel like I have to be careful of who I talk with. Like I had a conversation with one of my aunts the other day about the paranormal. I never thought in my wildest life that I would have a conversation with my great aunt about the paranormal. It blew me away.
Yeah. It's like you got to put little tidbits out there and see if they bite. Like, are they into this? Can I be myself around them? And then when you do, you're like, I have all this information.
Well, exactly, and that's how it was, and I loved it. I loved listening to her, and I was just like, "Where did that come from?"
Yeah.
But it was definitely an interesting moment.
Yeah. And I feel like once you find the people that you can talk to, that's good. They're your people. You can vibe with them.
Definitely. So, since your childhood moments, have you seen a spirit, like a full-figured spirit?
Yep. Um, so I could count on one hand how many times I've actually seen a full spirit, even though I am in the paranormal community. I'm always seeing that the stuff out of the corner of my eye. That's the usual. But full body, full spirit, I've had a few of those. One that I can elaborate on that sticks with me is when I was in my 20s. I was with one of my exes, and we were driving back from Virginia Beach to New York, and we were like, let's stop in Gettysburg. So I wasn't into the paranormal stuff at that time. Um, and we were just going to drive through it just to check it out because it's like a historical landmark.
Hmm.
And so we pull off on the side of the road, and we're in just one of the random fields out there. And he stops to use the porta-john, and I'm sitting in the car, and I see this young man in the full attire, and he comes running down out of the woods and then goes down the hill, and he's got his gun and everything. And he goes down the hill, and he kind of disappears out of sight. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I told my ex once he gets in the car, I was like, oh, let's go down the hill. They're doing a reenactment. That's going to be cool to see. So we get in the car and we drive down the hill, and there is nothing for miles. I'm like,
Oh, that had to have been trippy.
I'm like, mm-mm. I was like, he went somewhere. There was nothing. There was nowhere for him to hide. So I'm like, I saw a ghost. Okay. That was a full ghost, you know? And at that time, like I said, I wasn't into the paranormal at that time. So that really tripped me out. So that was definitely a moment to remember.
I bet that had to have been really, like I said, really trippy because it's not every day you see a full-figured spirit.
And it's always when you least expect it, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
How about you?
Um, the last time I saw something was about almost 2 years ago. We actually were doing a house visit,
Mhm.
and I ended up seeing some children's spirits, and it freaked me out.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wasn't used to it.
I don't know. I feel like children's spirits they're scarier for some reason. Just these little spirits.
Well,
Like,
y-
even though they're supposed to be cute, they terrify me.
I think it's because I've always been told that with children's spirits, there's always the shadow people that come with them or the Hat Man. And to me, I've seen the Hat Man before. That thing scared the crap out of me, and I've been on the hunt ever since.
Yep.
I
I
don't
have
know
had my
why, but
encounters with him, which is crazy because that's like a worldwide phenomena is everyone seeing the Hat Man. So
hmm
very
yeah,
interesting.
I've seen him more than once, and he's always around kids, and I've he doesn't like me. I don't know why,
I feel
but
like
he does
he
not
will.
like me. Uh, I've had to deal with it a couple times in a couple different houses, and each time it's just it's weird. Like I've had pictures and everything. I used to have them anyways, but
Yeah, I've
and I
never
forgot.
caught him on camera. Usually in the middle of the night, always looming.
Yes. Yep.
At this house that I'm at now, I've owned this house for about 3 years. There was definitely like a spirit, but I think I had to just let him know that I'm the new owner and we're gonna be cool. And then he kind of backed off a bit. But he does not like my visitors. I had one of my teammates come stay the night with me, and he about killed her. He sat on her chest. She almost had a damn heart attack.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I had to have a talk with him. I'm like, we're not going to do this to our guests. That's my friend. So yeah, I can see how some spirits can definitely just, for some reason, they just don't like a certain person, you know?
Yeah. I don't know if it's because I've been hunting him or hunting him down, or it was just a coincidence
Yeah.
or
Maybe a
what.
little bit of
But
both.
yeah. um. Okay, so this one is kind of an easy question. Um, when did you get started with your groups?
Okay, so with Division 3 AM, that's my paranormal team. They are all in Toledo, and now I'm in New York. We started about 6 to 7 years ago. Um, so we've been going strong with that. And then with Speak of the Dead, that I'm doing now, um, I've been doing that for about a year. And that pretty much is I go to haunted locations and cemeteries. And it's just my side little project that I do. Since it's hard to get together with those guys all the time, with them being out of state, I had to find something to keep myself busy.
That's good. That's really good. So here's another question that kind of goes along the lines of the last one that I asked you. Um, do you see and like any differences between Toledo and New York?
So in the area that I'm at, I'm in Syracuse. So I'm right smack dab in the middle of the state. I'm not in the city. Toledo and Syracuse actually are sister cities. So that means they are pretty similar um, in terms of population and just in general. So not too much of a difference. Obviously, I was born here in Syracuse, so I'm a little biased as to which city I like more. I love Syracuse. Um, I love the water, so there's lots of Great Lakes up here and mountains, and it's beautiful. And Toledo is pretty flat, and the only Great Lake they have is Lake Erie, which was pretty dirty. Sorry, Toledo. Not trying to crap on them here, but and then, of course, Toledo being south of Detroit, came a lot of crime. But we have our crime here in Syracuse too. But in terms of, paranormal locations and stuff like that, where I'm at right now, it's older. So we're saturated with paranormal opportunity around here. Just a few hours, you're in Massachusetts where, America began. You got cemeteries that are dating back to the 1600s and, a lot of spiritual activity, lots of Native American burial grounds and things like that.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about your past investigations?
So we've been pretty busy. The last investigation that I did with Division 3 AM, we did the Randolph County Asylum in Winchester, Indiana. And so far, that's one of my favorite locations to date. It wasn't too physically draining, but it was very active. We're still reviewing evidence, so I don't have, a complete tally of everything we caught there, but just skimming the surface, There were voices, there were footsteps, we got chased out of the basement. Lots of shadow figures. So lots of fun. That one was a good one. And the location itself is beautiful, very well preserved. The location used to be an insane asylum, and then shortly after became a nursing home. So lots of sadness there. A number of deaths on the property as well. So definitely a must for the paranormal community. I would definitely recommend it. As far as other locations, I mean, we've branched out quite a bit. They've came out to New York a few times to investigate, to try to like cut down on my driving since I'm in New York and they're in Ohio. But we go all over. We don't have anything lined up just yet, but hoping to get back out there in the next month or so.
Nice. Very nice.
And then as far as the side project of mine, the Speak of the Dead, I recently went to Columbus and visited an old insane asylum cemetery, which was very heartbreaking and heavy in itself. But I love to dive into the history of these places, these cemeteries that I go. This one had about 300 or more burials, many of them without names, many of them with just a serial number. And one particular gravestone said specimens, which was really intriguing. I had to research that a bit, but that just, from what I could tell, it was pretty much like body parts from like lobotomies and procedures they had done at the facility. So that was an interesting location.
I bet that had to have been fun though.
Yeah, I definitely should have took some paranormal equipment to that location. Maybe next time around.
There you go. There you go. Do you have any advice for any new teams starting out?
Since we're not brand new, but we're not, we've only been around for 7 years or so. So I can, say from experience, don't let things bother you. Hunt and investigate at your own leisure. Have fun with it. Don't be bullied by the paranormal community. I know sometimes it can feel like that. People are going to tell you you're doing it wrong, you're using the wrong equipment, but we're all here as a team. We're all supposed to be a community and be together. So, take some of the advice with a grain of salt, have fun. And you never know, you might be the team that catches the big, evidence. You never know what you're going to get out there.
That's true. Very true. And I don't remember if I asked you this one or not, but do you have any future planned investigations?
So I don't personally. I may be going to a location in New York for an overnight at a hotel, but that's kind of up in the area. I haven't bought any tickets or done anything yet with that. But with Division 3 AM, I don't have anything. We're still reviewing evidence from our last investigation. And we put together a documentary of every place that we go. So that might take a little bit of time. But hopefully, since this is, the summer months, we try to be pretty active during the summer. Hopefully we'll be able to, get something booked within the next month or two.
All right. Very cool. So if you had anywhere you could go to in the world for an investigation, where would you go?
Oh, wow. Anywhere in the world. Now that's a tough one because there's so many good international locations. I don't know. Maybe I would go to maybe the Suicide Forest in Japan. I
Okay.
forget the name of it. Have you heard of that one?
I have heard of it and I don't remember the name either.
Yeah, I'll look it up. I'll have to tell you what it is. I just feel like you would get so much good interaction there. Plus, it's beautiful. What is the name of that? Suicide Forest. If I can even pronounce it right. Yeah, it's called Okegarahara Forest. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Can you see that? Where
Okay,
are we at?
a little bit.
Okegarahara Forest. So that
Okay.
would definitely be on the top of my list. Internationally, locally, well, not locally, but within the United States, I would love to. Um, gosh, I would love to. Well, I'd love to go to Waverly. I know that's on my list. I've been inside during a day tour. Never been there with my team for a full overnight, so that would definitely be one to visit. Um, the Conjuring House would be another one.
That's on a bucket list of mine too.
That would be good. I've been to the Lizzie Borden house just for a day tour about 10 years ago, but I would love to stay the night there. That would be pretty fun. Um, I know that our team would love to go to the Veliska, am I saying that right? Axe Murder House. That's another good one. The Saley House. There's so many on our list, but so little time.
I know it, and you really want to go to all of them.
Yeah. And then as far as cemeteries, since that's my little side gig, um, been really dying to go to Hollywood Forever Cemetery in California, where all the famous stars are buried. One of my favorite musicians, Chris Cornell from Soundgarden, is buried there. I just love to see that. Plus, it just looks beautiful. They have peacocks roaming around, and that would be a lot of fun.
That's cool. I didn't
Yeah.
know that about that place.
Yeah, so and I guess they have big festivals there, like a Day of the Dead type festival there. So that'd be kind of neat to go to.
Nice. Can you tell us a funny moment that you've had with your team?
Oh gosh, every moment that we have together is funny because
Mhm.
we're a fun group. We're serious when we need to be, but we have fun. And like I said earlier, when I'm giving advice to other teams, take it with a grain of salt. Be serious, be professional, but have fun because that's what this is all about. Um,
Exactly.
but funny moments. We're always pulling pranks on each other. Um, the teammates are usually farting into the walkie-talkies. They're like, "Did you hear
Mhm.
that?" Stuff like that. So we just have fun with it. But honestly, we have so much fun. I can't think of one particular moment because it's just all so much fun.
That's very cool. Very cool. Um, Trying to think of some more questions here. Um, when you were, let's say, when you were a child, did you ever think that you would be doing? Did you ever think that you would have a paranormal team?
No, honestly, no. Um, like I said, up until like my early 20s, like I said, I believed in ghosts. I knew I had a bit of a gift, but I never really tapped into it. Didn't really care so much. The person I was with really didn't believe in that sort of thing, so I kind of let that fall on the wayside. So then, into my late 20s is when I met my best friend, and that's when we started, really kind of loving that spooky stuff. We'd go to the haunted locations, and we finally were like, we should make a team for ourselves. Like, we're always going to these places. Why don't we like do something with it? So, it wasn't until my late 20s that I started doing this. But, at 9 years old, when I first saw a ghost, heck no, I didn't think I'd be messing with them ever again.
So if you knew about like all the tools and stuff that we have now and all of the, well, I guess gadgets would be the same thing as tools, would you have done more interactive stuff with the ghosts that you saw as a child?
Yeah, probably. if those things were available to me back then, definitely, I think I would have been really intrigued. My son, I have an 8-year-old son, and he loves playing with all my little ghost hunting gear. So I kind of wonder what it would have been like had I got my hands on some of that stuff, you know?
Do you let him come on investigations?
No, he doesn't seem really interested in it yet. Maybe when he gets a little older, if he becomes interested in it, I don't push it. But he does like, playing with the REM pod and the ghost balls and stuff like that. And sometimes we'll get little hits here at home because, like I said, there are some spirits here. He's like, "Ooh, look at that," But yeah, I don't really push the bar with that.
Gotcha. Okay. Well,
I did always think it would be kind of interesting to bring like my dog with me because he picks up on a lot of stuff.
there you go.
When are these paranormal locations going to allow animals? Because I feel like that would be like a good indicator something's going on,
Tell him that he's a part of your tool.
Yeah, I'll get a little vest on him.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Because
Paranormal dog hunter.
They can sense things.
Yeah,
So.
definitely. There's been times
Talking
where
cats.
Yeah.
Cats especially.
And kids, kids, animals, they can pick up on this stuff.
Yep, definitely.
I think we block out more than we need to, but we got to just tap back into that.
Yeah, I hear you on that.
Mm-hmm.
I think in time things come along the way, and it's meant to be. Whether you pay attention to it or not, somewhere down the line you're gonna pay attention to it, regardless of if you want to or not.
I think so. You're right. I think certain points in our life, certain experiences, even traumatic events, they open us up to these areas that we didn't know we had, that we tap into.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Well, Eryn, it has been wonderful speaking to you, and I love getting to know you. I'm going to go ahead and put you in the back, and I will be right with you. Is that okay?
Thanks, Sarah. Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you too. Oh, I think I put that one up already.